Look, I think we're very fortunate that Sabir Khan's done an outstanding job in organizing guys some individual training sessions. So the guys have been extremely busy over the last 3 or 4 months. We've been here now for nearly a month, 4 weeks on Monday. We'll be in Dakar, and I've been so pleased by the work the guys have done. I'm actually very proud of the work that they've put in. They all seem to be physically in good condition in terms of their fitness. I think of the games that uh, the way they're playing at the moment, a lot of players seem to be in really good touch in nets. Um, the bowlers have got themselves fit. I think of a guy like Taskin, the work he's done has been unbelievable. He's looking so good and exciting to see that. So we're very pleased with where the guys are at the moment. The big challenge is now to take that practice and preparation and to slowly build it up into game time, because there's a big difference between training, gymming, running, and actually spending 6 or 7 hours in the field and having to come bowl again. So whilst I'm very happy with where the players are in terms of their technical skills and their fitness levels at the moment, we need to make sure we give them the best chance to perform by gradually bringing them back into international cricket. And if we can have some warm-up games like we're doing here, and then step it up in some domestic games in 3 or 4 weeks' time, I'm sure these guys will be ready for international cricket again.
Thank you, coach. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sami. Next question is from Mazaruddin, who is from the Daily Star. Mazar, please unmute.
Hi, coach. Hope you're fine. My question is, how did the player reacted when they were told that they have to quarantine for 14 days and then go and play a test series in Sri Lanka? What was the players' sentiment? How did they feel? Were they ready to take the challenge, or the call came from the players that no, we can't actually play in these circumstances? Thank you.
Look, a couple of our players have been in isolation for like 5 or 6 days, showing some symptoms of COVID. Some of them are negative, but showing some symptoms, so they were isolated. And they said it was extremely difficult. I mean, in terms of a mental aspect of things, forget about the physical side of things, the fitness, lack of cricket skills. Just for me personally, to spend 14 days locked up in a small hotel room would be very challenging. So look, there were some discussions held among some players, I suppose. But ultimately, it's a decision that the board made, and they've obviously discussed with a few people. But there's no doubt that I think they've made the right decision. I think the players appreciate that, as disappointed as they are to not be playing the series. They also understand that the mental issues of being in a locked up, enclosed area for 14 days could pose some serious challenges, and it's something that you can't not look at, or something that you can. It's different for everybody. Some guys might be able to deal with it, but if there's 1 or 2 guys who struggle with it, that's an issue, because everybody's different. So everybody's feelings has to be considered when making decisions like that, and I definitely think the board made the right decision.
Thank you. Next question is from Ronnie. Ronnie from BD News 24.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Russell. My question
Ronnie,
is, hi. My question is, when you know that there's no international game ahead, no fixture actually, and you don't know when you will play the next match. So how tough it is to inspire the boys and to tell them to keep focus on the things they are doing. How tough it is.
Yeah, look, I think that's always going to be a challenge. That's why we've got to be very innovative with the way we're training. We've got a big group of guys at the moment. We've tried to have some middles. We're trying to have some games, because if we just come every day and do the same thing over and over without any particular goal in mind, it's going to be very challenging. In saying all of that, it does allow us to really work on player skills at the moment, where you can maybe make 1 or 2 technical changes or discuss things with guys that maybe you won't always have the time to do leading into games. So there is the benefit of not having the pressure of a game coming up in a week or 2's time. So we don't want to change too many things, whereby you can actually make an impact on players' techniques now, because there's no real games lined up for the next couple of weeks. So it's got some benefits, but obviously we'd always like to train knowing that we're playing a game in a week or 2 or 3 weeks time, that there's some sort of end goal in mind for us. But like I say, the players have been fantastic. The energy in practice sessions has been remarkable. They want to play. There's no doubt the players want to play. That's what they do. That's what they love doing. So they've obviously bitterly disappointed that there's no cricket, but I can't speak highly enough about the way they've gone about their training over these last few weeks.
Thank you. Cheers.
Next is Rana from Prothomalo.
Hello, coach. Good afternoon. Hello. Hi. My question is, players like Mushfiq, Tamim, the experienced guy, they were enjoying their best time of their career. At this stage, they are going to lose a year from their international career. So, how do you see it?
They're not the only ones. There's a whole host of players that are losing a year to their careers. There's some young players who are trying to make a career, so it's just as difficult for some of them trying to find their way in the team. So look, it's disappointing for everybody. Sometimes maybe losing 7 or 8 months can prolong your career in the future, because maybe mentally, physically, you might not be as fatigued and you can maybe stay for an extra year or 2 longer in the system. So maybe there are some benefits for it. I know, particularly with bowlers, the number of games that get played, sometimes their careers are shorter, but having breaks like this sometimes can prolong guys' careers. So maybe that's the positive side. I'm trying to look at it from the positive side of things. So maybe it can prolong their careers a little bit more instead of shortening it.
Jane Alam.
Hi, coach. My question is, as there is no international series or tournament, this is probably a high time for working individual skills. So how you guys take this opportunity, and can you please mention any single session or specific area you're working on, any single player?
Look, I think of a guy like Shadman, for example. We're trying to change his stance a little bit. His backswing, he used to stand very upright in his stance. We're trying to get his bat down on the ground, which will allow him to swing the bat up and get a little bit more force when he hits the ball. That's one small example. So that type of change is very difficult to make when you're playing a match in a week's time. It's a change that he might need to take a couple of weeks or maybe a month to try and get accustomed to. So that's one type of guy that we've been working on. I think of Otis has been working with Mustafiz for a period of time now. This gives him a bit more time to make sure Fizz is getting the ball to shape back into the left-hander, and he'll bowl with a new ball tomorrow. So hopefully we can see some of that work paying off tomorrow. We're definitely seeing it in the nets. Hopefully that can continue to improve. But yeah, there's a whole host of things you're continuously working on. You're always picking up things or trying to improve on things. A guy like Shanto, the way he plays spin, also gets his head falling over a little bit. We're working on trying to get his head up a little bit more. So those type of technical things, this is a good time to be doing it. And we're pleased that we've got this little bit of time to do it now.
Thank you. Okay.
Pleasure.
Next is Masood Parvez. Masood, you're there? Okay.
Masood Bhai is here, but his microphone is muted.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next.
No,
Masood, you're there?
I'm here.
Okay. Masood,
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah.
I can hear you.
Hi, coach. Yeah.
How are you doing?
Coach, hi. Obviously, the condition was not ideal as people stuck at their respective homes for a long time. And that is also causing for the cricketers as well, because they are not in a cricketing exercise for a long time. If we look at the IPL, some of the great batsmen are still struggling to get their rhythm due to the lack of cricketing practice. So have you found out any particular examples in Bangladeshi cricketers when you came to Dhaka first and saw them in practice?
Look, it's a tough one. Like I said earlier, there's no substitute for playing games. The best we can do in terms of trying to prepare guys for international cricket is by playing. There's nets, Middle practices are great, but it's not the same as playing. So the intensity is different. So we need to try and play as many games as we possibly can before we get back in international cricket. Look, all teams are going to be at the same place. All teams are going to find their feet, maybe struggle with the fielding, maybe struggle with certain elements of the game. We're all at the same place at the moment. So England have played a bit of cricket. They had a bit of an advantage, but the rest of the nations, we're all probably starting at the same point. I think South Africa also haven't played for nearly 8 months now. They've got a few individuals playing in the IPL, but collectively they haven't played a lot of cricket. So we're all going to be starting at the same point and trying to find game time of high quality before international cricket is very important for us.
Next is Zubair.
Hello, coach. Jubair.
How are you doing?
I've got a couple of questions for you. During this pandemic time, can you?
I think we've lost
Hello.
Zubair there.
Yeah, his internet is slow.
Hello,
There's Mo.
Zubair, can you ask the question again?
Hello.
We lost you.
Hi.
sorry, there is some call. Coach, again, I'm just asking you during this pandemic time, how hard it is going to be for you to plan for longer vision, like we've got 3 consecutive World Cup coming up in 3 years. Are you gonna plan for this during this pandemic time? Is it going to be very hard? Because can you give us insight on this?
No, I don't think it's going to be hard. I think I've already sat with 1 or 2 of the captains and discussed like some players that we think we need to support and back, particularly in a white ball cricket, the players we want to have around the system, a group of 20, 25 that we want to try and provide opportunities for to play consistently leading into the World Cup. So I don't think it'll be hard at all. I think that the T20 World Cup is about a year away. Obviously important that we play quite a few T20 games leading into that World Cup, and the sooner we can start, the better it will be for us, because I don't want to go into a T20 World Cup with players only having played 4 or 5 games. I'd like a T20 team to have played 30 or 40 or 20 or 30 games together as a group. So I think the more of those games you can play, the better it's going to be. But like I said earlier, all teams in the same situation. So we just got to be smart about how we go about things. So if we can start with domestic cricket as soon as possible, hopefully we can get the West Indies here in January, maybe another tour before that. And then we'll be going pretty soon. As soon as we start playing international cricket, it'll come back to the guys very quickly. I'm sure about that.
Okay. And next is Isam, Quick Info.
Hi, coach. Just have one question. So the team is going to be in isolation for the next 15 days as well because of these 3 practice matches. I mean, have you seen anyone, show any signs of mental strain being in these bubbles and, staying away from family for so long? And they don't have an international series coming up. So, that puts a bit of strain on them, or you think that it's quite positive still? Thank you.
Hi, Isam. Thanks for the question. Look, I think you've got to have constant discussions with your players. You've got to try and have a culture in your team where players are comfortable coming forward and discussing whatever issues they got. And I think we're still trying to get to that place. Obviously, some guys will hold it in a little bit more. Some guys are more expressive about it. The coaches have been in a bubble now for about 28 days. So we haven't gone anywhere yet. We've just been coming to cricket practice and back. We haven't seen our family, so we know it is tough. But I think that's why it's so important to have people around you that you can discuss things with. And I think we're trying to encourage a culture within our team where players can freely discuss how they're feeling. At the moment, everybody's fine. I don't see any issues. If there are any issues, we will provide that player with as much support as we possibly can, because we do know that everybody's different and there are various challenges that people face. But so far, so good. It's been okay. I've loved my first month here being back. Good to be back at cricket. Would be nice if we could start playing some serious games soon, but it is what it is at the moment. We've just got to make the best of what is a bad situation at the moment. But so far, everybody's fine. Everybody's happy. missing families, obviously, but we've also got to do a job and we've also got to provide for our family. So we've just got to bite the bullet and do it at the moment.
Okay. Wahid Murad, next question, please. You have to unmute your audio.
Hi, coach. In nets,
Hi,
we have seen that Taskin Ahmed and Mustafizur Rahman is bowling quite well, and Taskin Ahmed is looking to get back his bowling that he bowled in the earlier of his career. What is your opinion about their progress? And Mustafizur Rahman, is he able to make the ball swinging into the right-handers that you told that he should make it confident?
So I've always said from the time I got here, I think it's really important that we develop a good group of fast bowlers. And if I think of names at the moment, I think we've got Eberdot, we've got Rai, we've got Taskin, we've got Mustafiz. Khalid's come back, he's fit. We've got Alamin. So we're developing a nice group of 6-7 fast bowlers that can play all formats. I've been very impressed with Taskin. He's worked extremely hard during the period. He's come back really fit. Mustafiz is putting some good work. He's getting some good shape with the new ball. Still got some work to do, but there's some good signs going forward there. We haven't seen Rai yet because he's been in quarantine and lockdown. Eberdot's also just joined us. He's also been in a bit of a lockdown. But Khalid, after his long injury, I've been impressed with him. He's come back looking really good. And I tell you who also has been really impressive is young Hassan Mahmood. I really think he's got a good future. So I think there's a group of 7 or 8 fast bowlers there that for the next 3 or 4 years can do really well for Bangladesh, not just in Bangladesh, but away from home. And I think that's really important. If we can have fast bowlers who can compete and put pressure on opposition batsmen when we're away from home, that's going to help us become a lot more competitive away from home. And at the moment, I feel we're on the right track with that 7 or 8 group of bowlers we've got.
Okay, Mazhar, your second question, please.
We're all talking about national team and the national players, but what's your take on the domestic cricket? How important it is to resume the domestic cricket or returning to the competitive cricket? I must say, like even if we play the practice matches here, but that's not competitive one. What's your take on the domestic circuit and how Bangladesh could return to domestic cricket? Do you have any suggestion for that?
So, like I've said earlier, I think the perfect way to get back into international cricket is to play some domestic cricket first. If we can play some domestic cricket, get guys playing some competitive cricket, that makes the transition into international cricket so much easier. Going from a friendly to international cricket is a big step up. If we can have some domestic games first, it'll benefit the national side immensely. I know the BCB are talking about trying to implement some one-day tournaments. Nothing's confirmed yet, but there's a lot of talk about trying to get domestic cricket going in the next couple of weeks, and that'll be great for the guys. I know there's a whole outside of this group. There's some players that are in the high performance system that are pushing for national honors that I'd love to see, and the sooner we can see them, the better that will be for everybody. So hopefully domestic cricket can start in the next couple of weeks because that's ultimately what we need to start with first before we play international cricket.
We'll take the last couple of questions. Ekush, if you want to go ahead.
Coach, related question. Do you think there is a good enough situation in Bangladesh to start domestic cricket right now?
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. That's not for me to answer. I leave that to the people who know best. If you ask me about an away swinger or an in swinger or for defensive, I can maybe answer you, but don't ask me about that because I'm not skilled enough. I'm not versed enough to be discussing what the state of the virus is in the country. That's not for me to comment on. I just know that when we do play cricket, we'd like to have it in a safe and secure environment because the players' welfare is of paramount importance. That's the main thing. And I'm sure the BCB will make sure everything's in order before we do start playing cricket again.
So last question, Rana.
No chance.
Yes.
Oh,
Hello.
Sikandar, sorry.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Sekundar bhai first.
Okay, Sikandar, please
Rohit
go
bhai, can I?
ahead. Just
Okay.
Who first? Me or Rana?
Sikandar, please go ahead.
Okay. Russell, how are you?
Mo, good. How are you?
I want to know that you have a lot of time in hand in this pandemic time here in Bangladesh also, if you stay here. Though it is tough to continue the camp, but do you have any plan to continue with the camp a long time? And another thing is, you have senior players and also junior players who have a few experience in the international games. There is a time to prepare, develop their skills for future plan. Will you segregate them and you will work the young kid with the young boys?
Well, I what?
Have you any plan to segregate the young boys who, for development their skill for the future Bangladeshi star? Have you any plan?
No, obviously, we're here and we got for sure we can have these camps, but you also cannot have a. Hello.
Sorry.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
Hello?
Excuse me.
The sound is from Mastranga.
Machanga TV, please mute your audio.
So,
Sorry, Russell, please go ahead.
for sure, yeah, we're here with these camps and we want to try and involve as many players as we possibly can. That's why we had a group of 27 at the moment, which is a big group. But you also can't have the camp going on forever. We had it for about 6 or 7 days the first time. This time we're going to have it for another 10 days or so. And that's at the moment until the situation improves. That's sort of the best you can do in terms of length in a camp. It's very hard to have guys in a camp for a month without seeing anybody or going anywhere, and there's no real end goal to play. You mustn't practice just for the sake of practice. When you practice, it's got to be specific. So I'm not a believer in just practicing because we're here, we've got to practice. When we practice, we've got to have a specific goal, and it's got to be focused, and it's got to be professional, and it's got to be specific, and not just to tick a box and keep people happy and show the media, look, we're all practicing. That's not why we practice. We practice because we want to try and get better, but we also need to give players time off because that also keeps them fresh and inspires them to come back and work hard at the game again. So no, it's not like a slave camp where we're going to drive guys for 30 days doing it every single day. You've got to be conscious and aware of what players' lives and needs are as well.
Okay, we just got a little under 1 minute. Rana, last question, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Rohit bhai. Coach, again, a lot of things we have heard about Mahmudullah's test future in last few months because he was told to be concentrated to white ball cricket in last February. So now, what your take on him?
Well, my take on him is that he's been left out of the last test team, and his decision is he wants to try and fight and get back into the test team. And from what I've seen, he's worked extremely hard during this pandemic. He's lost 5 or 6 kilograms. He's training really well. He's batting really well, and I've got a great deal of respect for the way he's gone about his business. He is in a queue now to try and get back into the team because there are players that are currently playing. So he's going to have to work extremely hard to get back into that team, which he has done. But he also needs to put in some big performances to try and get back into the team. So you can never write a player off.